All right, y'all. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to the Most High. And for this video, it's been a while since I made a video, but the reason why I'm basically returning and making a video is because of a conversation I had with my cousin about the Morning Star. And we didn't really get into it for real, but I told him how I was going to make a video and everything and send it to him so that, he can get a proper understanding of the Morning Star and what it means in the Bible. Because there is a doctrine out there. There's this dude, what's his name? His name is Rap the News, and he has a video where he broke down the Morning Star and basically saying how since Lucifer is called the Morning Star and Christ is called the Morning Star, there's a connection with them too, and basically how Jesus can be Satan or how Jesus is Satan. Now, in this video, I'm going to break down what the Morning Star is, who Lucifer is, why he's called the Morning Star, and even why who they call Jesus ignorantly, why he's called the Morning Star. Because there's a lot of this theology and a lot of this belief of Lucifer being Satan and all this stuff comes from Christian theology. A lot of it is Christianity beliefs, and people don't know that. But if we can separate Christianity from the Bible, then we'll be able to understand a lot of things in the Bible, and we'll be able to even unlock the truth of the Bible, the actual truth of the Bible, if we separate Christianity or separate ourselves in our minds from Christianity. Because a lot of us, truth be told, we still have a little bit of residue of Christianity in our brains, which is why a lot of times when we look at the Bible and certain verses and everything, we don't have the proper understanding because we still believe what they told us at Sunday school. All right. But I'm gonna go ahead and get into it. Everything I'm doing is gonna be live, so y'all gonna see all the, verses I go to. I want to see everything. All right. Now, the first verse I want to go to is I'm gonna go to all the verses that they use to make that connection of Christ being the morning star and quote unquote Satan being the morning star, and basically that means that Christ is Satan. That's not true at all. I'm gonna break everything down. All right. So first, the first verse, Isaiah 14 and 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? So when you go into that word Lucifer and what it means, it's Strong's H1966. And just look at all the meanings and just keep everything in mind. So Lucifer can mean light bearer, which also means shining one, morning star, Lucifer. And then you see this little heading right here. It says, of the king of Babylon, of the king of Babylon. Keep that in mind. And then it says, in Satan, and FIG means figuratively. Figuratively. So figuratively, they think that Lucifer means Satan, but that's all because of Christian theology. Christian theology created this belief that Lucifer is Satan, but that's not true. We're going to debunk that with this video, all right? Even right here, it says Hallel, which is the actual Strong's word right here, describing the king of Babylon, all right? Now, let's go to the verses where Christ is called the morning star. Revelation 22 and 16. It reads, I, Jesus, have sent mine angel to testify unto you these things in the churches. I am the root and the offspring of David and the bright and morning star. All right. So the first thing people do, or with Rap the News and what he did, is that basically you see, and a lot of people do this with a lot of things in the Bible. They see a lot of different things that say the same thing, and they think, oh, like for example, Jesus may be called God in this text, and then God is given that same name or whatever. But because Jesus is called God, they think that, oh, that makes Jesus God. That's not true at all. Same thing with this. Just because Jesus is called the morning star and quote unquote Satan is called the morning star doesn't mean that Jesus is Satan or Satan is Jesus. That's not what that means at all. And there's one more verse where it talks about or it calls Jesus the morning star. 2 Peter 1 and 19. See if it'll go to it. It's loading. Okay. 2 Peter 1 and 19. We have also a more sure word of prophecy, whereunto ye do well that ye take heed, as unto a light that shineth in a dark place, until the day dawn and the day star arise in your hearts. All right. So this day star is talking about Christ, but also the day star can also mean morning star. Let's go to it right here. Strong's G5459. Phosphorus. And I'm gonna get into that phosphorus in a minute because that is where the word phosphorus come from. I'm gonna explain why phosphorus is used to call Jesus the morning star or a light bearer. All right. So it means light bringing, giving light. The planet Venus, the morning star, day star, metaphor for Christ. All right. So all those verses use the phrase morning star. All right. But we have to understand in context of Isaiah 14, why is it calling Lucifer the morning star? And even in context, why it's calling Jesus the morning star, okay? Because they both have two separate meanings and two separate reasons, all right? So let's go. First of all, I want to give the understanding or understand, help people understand that stars can represent people, all right? Because as you see just in these verses alone, is calling people stars. All right. Let me just give a few verses where it's referring. Oh Lord. Hold on. Technical difficulties. All right. I'm gonna give a few verses where it's calling or referring to people as stars. All right. So Genesis chapter 15, verse 5. It reads, And he brought him forth abroad and said, Look now toward heaven and tell the stars, if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, so shall thy seed be. So the Most High God, he's talking to Abraham and telling him that his seed will basically be like the stars. Okay. And this is talked about and reiterated throughout the whole entire Bible, how Abraham's seed will be multiplied like the stars of heaven. All right. Let me get another verse. Deuteronomy 1, verse 8 through 10. It reads, Behold, I have set the land before you. Go in and possess the land which the Lord sware unto your fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to give unto them and to their seed after them. And I spake unto you at that time, in verse 9, saying, I am not able to bear you myself alone. Verse 10, And the Lord your God hath multiplied you, and behold, ye are this day as the stars of heaven for multitude. So as you see right here, it's referring to once again the Israelites or the chosen bloodline, the chosen seed line, basically having them being represented as the stars of heaven. Okay. Let me just get one more verse and then I'm gonna go into Isaiah 14. First Chronicles 27 and 23. So it reads, But David took not the number of them from 20 years old and under, because the Lord has said he will increase Israel like to the stars of the heavens. So y'all should get the point by now. Stars can be representative of people, but you see how in context it's always referring to the Israelites. And as you know, Christ, he's a part of the bloodline of the Israelites. So it will make sense to why he's that connects to why he's called the morning star. But we're going to get into that in a minute. All right. Now, Let's go back to Isaiah 14 again. Isaiah 14 and 12. And let's go to the meaning of Lucifer again. All right. So y'all can understand who it's talking about and why it's considered or why it's called the morning star. Okay. So Lucifer equals light bearer, or it can mean light bearer, or it can mean shining one, morning star, Lucifer. And like I said right here, it says of the king of Babylon, of the king of Babylon. Now, I'm going to read the context of Isaiah 14 to help y'all understand exactly why Lucifer is called the morning star, and also help y'all understand that this word Lucifer or title Lucifer is not referring to Satan at all. Because this is where people get a lot of like different doctrines from because they think Lucifer is Satan, but he's not. All right. So let's go back to Isaiah 14. And let's start at verse 1 to get the context of what's going on in this chapter and to also help y'all understand that this is also prophetically speaking of the downfall of America. Okay? So Isaiah 14, verse 1. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. We all read this before. If you haven't, then here you go. Now, verse 2. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. So this is prophetically speaking of Israel gaining back their rightful rulership. Israelites are going to be on top, the wicked is going to be on the bottom. Whoever rules the Israelites will now rule over them. This is all prophetically speaking of the fall of Babylon within Isaiah 14. Okay, let's continue to read. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from the hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve. Verse 4. This is the key point right here. Verse 4, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, against the king of Babylon, and say how that the oppressor ceased, the golden city ceased. Now, from this point on, this is all speaking to the king of Babylon. A lot of people don't understand, but Satan and Lucifer are two different things. Satan is not the king of Babylon. Satan is a god. He is not a man, he is a god. Satan, there's a verse where it says, I think it says that Satan, he rules the earth right now, but he's a god. Like I think it says Satan, he's the god of this world. So Satan, he's a god. But Lucifer, he's a man. It's a title given to a man, which is who the king of Babylon. So whoever the king of Babylon is, which like I said, is also going to be representative because Babylon is America, if people don't know that, because in the future, this is prophetically speaking to the downfall of the kingdom of America. Whoever is the ruler of America, technically with America, whoever is the president of America, whoever is ruling America at that time, this is speaking to them. Even with this context, whoever is the king of Babylon, whoever is ruling Babylon at this time, this is who is being spoken to. Okay. So this got nothing to do with Satan at all. It's talking about the king of Babylon. Okay. So keep that in mind because if you think that it's talking about Satan and everything, right here, you can go ahead and stop because it shows you in verse 4 how the king of Babylon is being spoken to. But we're going to continue to read so you can understand why I say the king of Babylon is called Lucifer. All right. So from verse 4 and on, it's talking to the king of Babylon. Let me read again. That thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how have the oppressors ceased, the golden city ceased? The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger. is persecuted and none hindereth. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Now, there's a verse. This verse is talking about how basically when the king of Babylon and Babylon as a nation is dethroned, everybody will be happy. Because there's a verse, I think it's Proverbs 29 and 2, where it says that when the wicked rule, the people mourn, but when the righteous rule, people rejoice. Let me get that verse real quick. Proverbs 29 and 2. And if I can type right here, Proverbs 29 and 2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. So that's just letting you know this goes back to Isaiah 14 and 7, how when the wicked, when they're going to be dethroned and destroyed, everybody's going to be happy because they'll finally, receive rest from their hard bondage and captivity. All right. Verse 8. Yeah, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no fellows come up against us. Now, verse 9. Now, starting right here, it's kind of where it get tricky, where people will kind of think that, it's talking about Satan and he was thrown down to hell and everything. Even when you read further on, even after verse 12, people think that it was talking about Satan having a war in heaven. And with that war in heaven, what you call it, Satan was thrown down from hell. And now uh, not thrown out from hell, he was thrown down from heaven, and now he's in hell waiting for people that are wicked to come there. Even that's not true at all. A lot of people's mindset and belief on hell is all from Christian theology. All of these beliefs with Satan being Lucifer, Satan being in hell, all that stuff is Christian theology and it's false. Christianity, which is the YT man's religion, they took the Bible, flipped a lot of things, and now made us believe that this is what it is, but it's not. Now we have to unlearn and relearn a lot of things because of Christianity. All right. Now, verse 9. Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. So this is saying how basically hell can represent the grave. Hell is not talking about where they say Hades is and where they say the devil is. That's not what hell is. Hell can be representative of the grave. It's even said in these upcoming verses. But it's saying how basically there's a space made for the grave for um the Babylonian king and this Babylon in general. All right. Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirred up the dead for thee. Where is the dead located? The dead is located in the grave. And once again, hell is representative of the grave. And let me go to the meaning so people can understand. The Greek word, not Greek word, Hebrew word Sheol. Sheol, and it means Sheol, underworld, grave, grave, hell, pit, the underworld. Now, the underworld, all that stuff is Greek mythology. That's not true. That's not real. All that stuff about Hades and Satan being there, that's not true at all. At all. All right. In context, this is talking about the grave. So where we at? Verse 9. All right. Help from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. So when it says even all the chief ones, all the other rulers of other nations, because they are all a part of America's alliance. So anybody that's in alliance with America, and not even just in alliance with America, even people like Russia, they're all going to be dethroned. They're all going to be a part of this, judgment. All right. It have raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? So in verse 10, it's talking about basically the dead that's in the grave right now. They're not literally speaking, but it's just a metaphor to show what's going on. But when it says, "Art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us?" So this is also representative of what heaven and hell is. Hell can be a low state of being, and also it can also be representative of a grave. Because when people say like people can say the phrase like, "Oh, I'm going through hell right now." When they say that, they mean they're going through a hard time. They're in a low state of being. They're going through hell, right? People don't really say that they're going through heaven, but heaven can also be a state of being as well. Meaning that when somebody is in heaven, it's not talking about them being with God in the third heaven. It's not talking about that at all. It's talking about them being in a high state, them being on top, them ruling everything, them having a lavish lifestyle. That's what heaven can mean in certain contexts, all right? So in verse 10, when those people in the grave are asking the king of Babylon, saying, "Oh, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us?" That space that was made in that grave for them, they are now going to be dethroned. They're going to be taken off of their throne. They're going to basically not be in rulership anymore, and they're going to be in this grave. They're going to actually be slaughtered, as Isaiah 14 prophesies it to happen. Which is why verse 10 is asking, "Art thou become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us?" All right. Verse 11, "Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, the grave." So when people think that when it says hell, that's talking about where they think Satan is, in this context, it's talking about the grave, the grave. That's what hell is representing in this context. "In the noise of thy vows, the worm is spread under thee, the worms cover thee." Now, now we're at verse 12, which is it goes to the Lucifer and everything, right? "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer?" When people read this, because of Christian theology, they think that Satan was in heaven. He had a fight with God. He was trying to be like God. He was trying to be on top of God. He was trying to basically replace God and everything and be him. People think they had a war in heaven, and after that war in heaven, Lucifer lost and he was cast out of heaven, and then he basically was thrown to hell, and now he's there forever waiting for people. That's not true at all. That's not what it's talking about. Even everything I said about the context of what heaven and hell is, it's not talking about Satan at all. It's not even talking about that type of hell at all. All that is based off Christian theology and Christian beliefs. All right. So when it says, "How art thou fall from heaven?" it goes back to um uh, verse 9, where it says how there was a space made in hell or in the grave for the king of Babylon. Because once again, this is all talking to the king of Babylon. Once again, people don't understand, but it's talking to the king of Babylon. Even when you go to the meaning of Lucifer, Lucifer is representative of a title given to the king of Babylon. Okay. Now, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations?" Now, the reason why, let me explain why he's called the morning star in this context, or Lucifer. Because like I said, a lot of people think that just because he's called the morning star, that means that it's some connection with Christ being called the morning star as well. Lucifer can mean shining one. It can also mean morning star or whatever, right? Now, when it says shining one, what is the morning star? What star or light shines in the morning? The sun. All right. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on too. But just like the sun is above everybody. The sun is the brightest star in the sky. It shines above everybody. The same way how America or whoever the king of Babylon is, he's shining above everybody as well. He's ruling above everybody. He's the brightest of all the stars. And like how I said, stars can represent people. Stars are representative of like, also, or the star in this context can be representative of the king of Babylon, how he's one of the stars or shining stars that is brighter. He's above everybody. He's in a high state. That's why he's called in this context, he's called the Lucifer or quote unquote morning star. All right, let's continue to read. Verse 13. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. Everything is figurative, metaphorical. Who are the stars of God? The stars of God are the Israelites, God's chosen people. So Lucifer, or the king of Babylon in this context, not Satan, the king of Babylon in this context is saying that he's basically going to um, do something to rule everybody, to rule God's chosen people, which it did happen. America is in rulership to everybody, to God's chosen people. We are in captivity to America. So even with the Babylonian king in this context and everything, there's been many times where we've been in captivity to certain nations, the Babylonians, the Greeks. We've been in captivity to a lot of different nations, whatever. But specifically in this context, Babylon is above everybody, and Babylon, the Babylonian king, he wants to rule above God's chosen people. All right. Let's continue to read. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. So when he says I'm going to be like the Most High, because the Most High, he's the one that's actually the God of us. He's our leader. He's our ruler. That's who he is to us. That's what the king of Babylon is trying to be to us. He's trying to be our ruler, basically our God, where we follow his commands, we follow his rules, we follow his word. That's what it means, and that's what we do. That's what a lot of people do nowadays. A lot of people, we are following the Babylonian king's ways, his laws, the way that he wants to do things, the way that he wants us to live life, customs and traditions that we keep all are a part of the Babylonian or the American tradition, the American way, the American rulership. All right. Because, like I said, Babylon, this whole entire chapter of Isaiah 14 is also prophetically speaking of the fall of America in the future. All right. That's why it's talking about him being cast down from earth or whatever, or not cast down from earth, how he's being cast out of heaven or falling from heaven. It's not talking about, once again, like I said, heaven where God is, but in terms of a state where he's on top, he's ruling, and America is the most thriving country. That's what it's talking about. All right. And it says, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, I will be like the most high. Verse 15, yet shall be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. Now, once again, like I said in context, hell is talking about the grave. It's not talking about Hades, it's talking about the grave. Even though people may think that it's talking about Satan being kicked out of heaven and he went to hell, in context, it's talking about the king of Babylon. So that debunks the fact that it's even talking about Satan at all. All right. That they, verse 16, that they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble? Is this the man that made the earth to tremble? Now, like I said before, with Satan, Satan is a god. Satan is a god. Lucifer is a man. Lucifer is not Satan. Lucifer is referring to the king of Babylon. But Satan is a god. And let me get that verse. Satan, right here. 2 Corinthians 4 and 4. Satan, who is the God of this world. The God of this world. All right. So there's never a context where Satan is being referred to as a man. Even with people going to the Garden of Eden and everything, a lot of people think that the serpent is Satan. It's not. The serpent is not Satan at all. A lot of people go to Revelation and see that verse where it says that wicked serpent or that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and then they connect back to Genesis and say, "Oh, that old serpent is talking about the devil, and the devil is Satan. So Satan is, and he's the serpent in the garden." Once again, all these things are Christian theology. That's a whole nother video in itself where I talk about, who the serpent really is and how the serpent is not Satan at all. That's a whole nother video for itself. But I'm just going to continue to talk about, how Satan, he's a god. All right. So Satan is a god. The man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms. This once again is talking about the king of Babylon. The king of Babylon is a man. Okay. The same thing with the rulers or the presidents of the United States. Those are men that rule America, basically. And not only rule America, but they are on top in terms of ruling, other kingdoms like NATO, for example, right? Verse 17, that made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the houses of his prisoners. All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, every one in his own house. But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch, and as the raiment of those that are slain, thrust through with the sword that go down to the stones of the pit, as a carcass trodden under feet. Thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land and slain thy people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. Prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. So, let me continue to read real quick and finish it off. For I will rise up against them, saith the Lord of hosts, and cut off from Babylon, all right, Babylon, which is also representative of America as well, the name and remnant and son and nephew, saith the Lord. I will also make it a possession for the bittern in pools of water. I will sweep it with the besom of destruction, saith the Lord of hosts. So, recap. In context, in context, Lucifer is not Satan. Lucifer is the king of Babylon. All right. And the reason why he's called the morning star, the king of Babylon is called the morning star, or may have the title of the morning star in this context, is because he's above everybody. He's the ruling kingdom. He's shining above everybody. That's why it also said as one of the definitions of Lucifer, the shining one. He's shining above everybody, on top of everybody, um, as a nation, as a ruler. All right. So this is not talking about Satan. Satan is not Lucifer. Satan and Lucifer are two separate things. All right. Now let me go into show y'all something real quick. Where Let me show y'all where it came from. All right. Because everything I'm saying is not just me pulling something out of my behind. All this is Christian theology, like I said. All right. So when you Google search, I'm stuttering. Where did the belief Lucifer is Satan come from? It reads right here. The belief that Lucifer is Satan stems from interpretations of biblical texts and the subsequent development of Christian theology. Christian theology. Even the fallen angels, Lucifer, Satan being in hell, all that stuff is Christian theology. Now it reads, while the Hebrew Bible doesn't explicitly equate the two, the Latin Vulgate translation of Isaiah 14 and 12, using Lucifer for the morning star falling from heaven, was later linked to Satan, the adversary of God. This connection gained traction as Christian tradition associated the morning star imagery with the fall of a rebellious angel, further solidified by the New Testament passages about Satan's fall. Now, once again, all this comes from Christian theology. Christianity isn't true, it isn't real, but the Bible is true and the Bible is real. It's just the fact that Christianity was a religion created to where they took the Bible and they didn't understand it at all. So they made up their own beliefs and everything, because Christianity is the white man's religion, like I said. And they took the Bible and they didn't know what it was about for real. They didn't understand it. So they tried to like break it down and everything and give interpretations, but it's not for them. So they're not going to get it. So that's why when they took the Bible from us and everything and gave it back to us in slavery, that's where all these beliefs come from in terms of, Lucifer being Satan, all this stuff. They didn't know what it was at all originally. But when you read in context, like I said, Lucifer is the king of Babylon. All right. Now, let's go into Christ. Christ and what he is and why he's called the morning star. Okay. So let's go to Revelation again, Revelation 22 and 16. Okay, it reads, I, Jesus, have sent mine angel to testify unto you these things in the churches. I am the roots and the offspring of David, and the bright and morning star. Okay. So let me also, for one, let me go back to also Second Peter as well. Second Peter 1 and 19, where it's called the day star. Okay. So we have also a more sure word of prophecy, whereunto ye do well that ye take heed, as unto a light that shine up in a dark place until the day dawn, the day star arise in your hearts. So the day star, morning star, like I said before, what star or what light shines in the morning or in the day? The sun. What is Jesus called? Quote unquote, or who they call Jesus, who is he? He's the Son of God. He's the represented as the Son. So all that is just metaphorical and all like connected in itself. But the reason he's called the morning star or the sun or the morning star is, let's go to John real quick because he calls himself the light. This is why he calls himself the morning star, or how, like I said, the morning star means light bearing or to give light or the shining one. This is why he's called the morning star. John 8 and 12. Then spake Jesus again unto them, saying, I am the light of the world. I am the light of the world. What is the light of the world? The light of the world is the sun. So this is basically him saying, I am the sun. Now he's not literally the sun, even though people can try to go down a rabbit hole and say like, oh, Jesus is the son. No, he's not the actual son, but it's just metaphorically speaking, how he's the light. Light is like a positive thing representing, the way to righteousness, the way to inherit the kingdom and its riches. That's what he means. He that follows me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. So that's why he's called the morning star, or how the morning star can mean the shining one, or it can mean light bearing, or how Lucifer can mean light bearing. That's let's let me go to Second Peter real quick. Hold on. Let me go to Second Peter, where it says day star. And see phosphorus. Like I said, phosphorus, that's the Strong's word, or Greek word for day star. And it means light bringing, giving light. The planet Venus, or the morning star, day star. Now, the planet Venus, that's just Greek mythology. That goes into a whole nother lesson about how a lot of Greek concepts was used to basically help Israelites understand certain things when they were in the Greek captivity. That's another lesson for another day. All right. But light bringing, giving light. And like I said, phosphorus. Now, if y'all know about the element table or the element chart, phosphorus is a element that gives light. Let's prove that. All right, let's go right here. Does phosphorus give light? Now it says yes, phosphorus can emit light, but not through phosphorescence in the way that some glow in the dark materials do. Instead, phosphorus emits light through a process called chemioluminescence, which is a chemical reaction that produces light. All right. So phosphorus is an element that can produce light or can give light. And the Most High, he's so creative and so like just there's he's technical in what and why he does everything for a reason, and everything's done for a reason. Why do you think phosphorus is the Greek word for day star because phosphorus, as the actual element on the element chart or element table, it gives light. And Christ in John 8 and 12, he said that he is the light of the world. He gives light. That's why he's called the morning star, or how the morning star is the sun. All that connects. The morning star being the sun, phosphorus being the Greek word for day star, day star, the sun gives light, phosphorus gives light. All that connects into why Christ is called the light or the morning star. That is a whole separate meaning and reasoning for why he's called the morning star compared to why Lucifer, who is once again the king of Babylon, why he's called the morning star. Okay, so Lucifer and Christ, two separate things, two different things, two different reasonings of why they're called the morning star. They're not the same. They're not connected. Just because Christ is called the morning star and Lucifer has the definition of the morning star doesn't mean that they're both the same. It doesn't mean that Jesus, Slakia. That doesn't mean that Jesus is Satan or Satan is Jesus. Even how I just broke down how Satan is not Lucifer. Satan, he's a god. Lucifer is a title given to the king of Babylon. With all that being said, that debunks that whole ideology and theology and mindset that Lucifer and Satan are the same just because they have the title of Morning Star. Okay, so hopefully this video and this lesson gave a lot of clarity to this situation and to this whole conundrum or whatever you want to call it. And one more thing before I end this video, all right? Because a lot of people talk about Isaiah 14, where Lucifer, they say the story of him being cast out of heaven. And basically, when he was cast out of heaven, whatchamacallit, he was sent to hell and everything. And they said that this story, they said that that story of the war in heaven happened before creation, if I remember correctly. Let me look it up. When did the war of heaven happen? Look, all right, look. The war in heaven, as described in Revelation 12, is generally understood to have occurred sometime after the creation of the earth, before the fall of humanity. It involved a rebellion led by Satan and his angels against God, resulting in their expulsion from heaven. While some, or while the exact timing is not specified, it is believed to have happened before Satan tempted Adam in the in Eve in the Garden of Eden. So, for one, that doesn't make any sense at all, because you're gonna sit there and tell me that this war happened before Adam and Eve, right? Before creation, before Satan was quote unquote sent to hell, or not sent to hell, before Satan was sent to the Garden of Eden and everything, which he's not in the Garden of Eden at all. If that happened, okay, so if that happened before Adam and Eve, explain this. Let's go to Job. They say that the war in heaven happened before Adam and Eve, before creation, right? And how Satan was kicked out of heaven and sent to hell, and then he was taken from hell and came to earth as a serpent or whatever, and then tempted Adam and Eve. But I thought that Satan was supposed to be in hell forever, for one. And there's even a verse where I just showed y'all, it said Satan was the God of this world. So what is he? I don't know. Is he the God of hell? Is he the God of the world? Was he with Adam and Eve? Like, what? It's so many things that don't make sense when you try when you connect all these things, right? But let me go back to my original point I'm trying to make. They say that the war in heaven happened before Adam and Eve, before creation, right? Explain this in Job, because Job, he was born. This story is way after Adam and Eve, way after that. All right. Job chapter 1. Let's start at verse 6. All right. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. And the Lord said unto Satan, hold on, let's pause right there. The Lord said unto Satan, how is the Most High God speaking to Satan right now? I thought Satan was in hell, cast away from God. Is Satan like, is he called out on the phone? They're having a conversation on the phone or something where they're spiritually just having a phonetic conversation or whatever, and like, oh, like, hey, what's up, Satan? What you doing good down there in hell? Oh no, I'm doing good, God. Just trying to figure out what I'm gonna do with Joe. Like, that's not what's going on. They're literally beside each other talking like it's a normal conversation. But let's continue to read. And the Lord said unto Satan, whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro in the earth and walking up and down it. Now, was Satan literally walking up and down the earth and everything? No. But people will sit there and read this and think, oh, Satan, he was in the garden. So, no, he was not in the garden. Like I said, that's a whole other video for another day. But Satan, like I said, he's a God. He's a God. But his demons and everything, Satan has his devils, his demons, and his spirits, his angels that roam the earth as well. The same thing with God, how God has his angels that roam the earth to make everything happen in the earth. I'm gonna even give a verse that proves how Satan and God, they're in heaven working together to make things happen on the earth, which is exactly what's going on in this chapter in Job. All right. And the Lord said unto Satan, whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, okay, verse 8, and the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth God and a show of evil? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, do Job fear God for naught? Verse 10, hast not thou made an hedge about him and about his house and about all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the work in his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. But put forth thine hand now, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said unto Satan, behold, all that he hath is in thy power, only upon himself put not forth in thy hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. Hold on. Pause again. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. So basically, they just got done having a whole conversation and everything, and Satan just literally left God. Like he left God. He was right beside him, having a whole conversation, and just left. I just thought that before Adam and Eve, before creation, there was a whole war, and Satan was cast to hell forever. Forever. Meaning eternity. You're never coming back. You're not going to be with me anymore. I'm done with you. That's I thought that's what happened, but how all of a sudden he's back right beside God talking to him about testing Job, which lets me know that Satan and God, they're in heaven together right now. Hell, Hades, where people think from Christian theology, that does not exist at all. It doesn't. That's even a whole nother video for that. That does not exist. And let me give y'all another verse real quick. This is gonna be the last verse I'm gonna give y'all, and then I'm gonna wrap up this video. But this verse kind of gives some insight on how things happen on this earth. And this also gives insight on why I say Satan is not in hell right now, and how Satan and God, they work together to make things happen on the earth. Satan got his demons, his angels, which are called demons, and then God got his angels and everything and they all work together. They're called the divine council. They're called the host of heaven. They all work together to make things happen on the earth. All right. So let's go to Second Chronicles chapter 18. All right. All of this debunks that whole Lucifer being Satan thing, and Lucifer being, or Satan being in the Garden of Eden, and Satan. It debunks all this stuff. All this is just a small a small little bit and piece of debunking. You know what I'm saying? There's more verses I can go into and everything, and a huge breakdown, but I'm not doing it right now. I'm just getting some verses to kind of lay out the foundation of why all that stuff is not true about the fallen angels and all that stuff. All right. So let's read. Second Chronicles 18 to 18. It reads, again, he said, therefore, hear the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting upon his throne. Where is his throne? His throne is in what's called the third heaven. All right. That's the spiritual realm. That's where all the angels are. It even says it in this verse. The Lord sitting upon his throne, and all the host of heaven standing on his right hand and on his left. So when it says host, what is the host of heaven? Army. It can mean that which goes forth, army, war, warfare, host, army, host, an organized army, host of angels, host of sun, moon, and stars, host of whole creation, war, warfare, service, go out to war, service. All right. So basically, it's talking about all the angels that's around him. That's the only context, or that's the only thing that makes sense in this context. I was talking about the angels that's beside him. Because you know how, like, for example, if y'all seen what's that called? When he said there's hosts to his left and to his right in verse 18. No, hold on, no. Where? Yeah. Where it says all the hosts of heaven standing on his right hand and on his left. What's that thing called? Emperor's New Groove. New Groove, Demon, and Angel. Look, I don't know if y'all remember this, but in Emperor's New Groove, this let's say right here, he represents God. All right. On the left side, on the right side are the host. All right. This is the same thing that is going on in heaven right now. God, he's on the throne, and you on the left shoulder, on his right shoulder, you have the angel and the demons, which is basically Satan's angels and God's angels. They're all God's because God created all of it, but Satan has rulership over these demons, which are basically devils or demons, whatever you want to call it, bad spirits, good spirits. Okay, there's a balance in everything because the Bible says how a false balance is an abomination to God. So there's the opposite of everything. Everything has an opposite to it. All right, which is the reason why a lot of bad things and good things happen on the earth. That's a whole nother video for another day as well. All right. So this is what's going on right now in Second Chronicles. And I even just Second Chronicles, what's going on as we speak right now. There's a whole bunch of angels in heaven. God is in the middle on his throne, and they're all working together, making things happen. All right. Now, let's continue to read. And the Lord said, who shall entice Ahab, king of Israel, that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? And one spake, saying after this manner, and another saying after that manner. So basically, you have God and all the bad and good angels having a conversation about what they're going to do to basically fulfill this plan because they're trying to basically kill this king of Israel right now. All right. They're trying to kill him. Right. And they're trying to figure out, okay, what they're going to do. So, verse 20, then there came out a spirit and stood before the Lord and said, I will entice him. And the Lord said unto him, wherewith? And he said, I will go out and be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. This is how you know everything that happens on the earth is ordained by God. Everything that happens on the earth is ordained by God. Everything is planned out by God. God and the angels in heaven, they all communicate and have conversations and making plans to do whatever happens on the earth. It sounds messed up because you can sit there and think, oh, when somebody in the world gets, assassinated or whatever, you may think, oh, why all these bad things happening, people getting raped, all this stuff. Like, why does this happen? All because God ordains it to happen. God is in control of all of this. God sends angels or demons into all these different people to make things happen. All right. So in this context, there was a lying spirit or a quote unquote demon, one of Satan's angels, that was going to be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And the Lord said, Thou shalt entice him, and thou shalt also prevail. Go out and do even so. And then when you read the entirety of the rest of this chapter, you see how it all plays out. How somebody is actually they're a lying spirit. They go and lie to the king and tell him to go somewhere. They lie to him, and then they set up the king to get killed. Just read the entire chapter and you'll see how everything I'm saying makes sense. But the reason why I brought this verse is just to basically connect to how Satan, God, all the angels in heaven, they all work together and move on God's command. Satan couldn't do none of that to Job without God commanding him to do it. That angel in Second Chronicles, he couldn't move without God telling him to do so. Everything is based off how God wants it to be. So when somebody lies, it's because God that sent that spirit in them to lie. When somebody tells the truth, it's because God sent that spirit in them to tell the truth. When somebody does anything wrong or bad, he sends these spirits to do what he wants them to do. So we think we have free will, we do everything on our own merit. No, God controls everything by sending angels because he can't be on this earth. Same thing with Christ, how he couldn't come on this earth to die for us. So that's why he sent Christ to do it. So common sense, the same thing with everything that goes on. He stays on his throne, basically being the director of the movie. He's the director. Everybody else, the angels are like the actors. They go out and put the spirits in our people, and we act out everything that he wants us to do. That's how everything works. And that all of this debunks the whole Satan being in hell and even Satan having his demons in hell and everything. Like why would there be a lying spirit next to God? A lot of people with that Christian mindset think God is all good and that there's only good that comes out of God. God created good and evil. He created everything. So what makes you think he doesn't have control of everything? What makes you think he doesn't have control of Satan? He created Satan. Same way how he told Satan and commanded Satan to do this to Job. That's the same thing that goes on in just in life. But all of this is just like it's very, very like eye-opening information when you actually read the Bible for what it is, and separate your mindset from Christianity. We have to unlearn and relearn a lot of things, all because Christianity lied to us so much. So much. Almost everything that we think we know, Christianity, they lied about it. So we have to unlearn and relearn a lot of things. So with that being said, that's all I have for this video. Hopefully y'all got edified. Hopefully y'all will like, share this video to anybody who y'all think may would learn from this video or maybe be edified by this video. Subscribe as well if you want to see more videos. I'm not going to be, popping up every single day, but I'm going to try to um, make videos as I go. And whenever the Most High put the spirit in me to make videos and to give a lesson, I'll do it. I'm gonna make sure I have the actual proper knowledge because I don't want to come on here and just say something that I don't know what I'm talking about. And then, I just want to make sure I know what I'm talking about before I make any video at all. But hopefully y'all enjoy this video. Once again, like, share, subscribe, like I said. Until next time, shalom.